Hey travel friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and today I'm going to be talking all about Mount Kilimanjaro routes. I'm going to be talking all about the 6 main routes that people take to get up the mountain, the differences in the routes and the pros and cons of each route's length, the biggest mistakes that first timers make when it comes to choosing their route, all the things that they forget to consider, how to choose the best route for you, and most importantly, summit success rate for each route, because that's the ultimate goal, right? Then at the end, I will be doing my personal official route ranking, dance mom style. So get ready for my pyramid. Definitely stick around until the end. But first, before you go anywhere, I just wanted to remind you that I am a travel advisor. What this means for you is I can help you find the best Mount Kilimanjaro trek for you, completely free of charge. I'll help you choose your route, company, give you all the information that you need to know, help you with the packing and the prep. There's so much that goes into this trip, so definitely my firsthand experience will come into play with that. If you haven't watched my vlog already, I did successfully summit Mount Kilimanjaro, and choosing the right route for me was a huge part of that success. So that's why we're here today. So if you would like free expert help in planning this huge bucket list climb, message me at my email, anna.richter@4travel, and I'd be happy to do everything I can to prepare you to reach your summit. Whether you have a slight idea of what company and route you're thinking of or have no idea where to start, I would be happy to help. Also, depending on which tour company you use, I also get exclusive promotions and discounts, so definitely check in with me to see if there's any you can take advantage of. But let's get into the video and start with our 6 main routes. So there are 6 main routes that people use to hike up Mount Kilimanjaro, and they all differ in difficulty, scenery, crowd levels, and acclimatization, which is definitely the biggest factor when it comes to choosing a route and the biggest factor for your success at the summit. A general rule of thumb is that the longer routes have a higher summit success rate because they have an easier acclimatization, because the altitude adjustments are in smaller increments. Not all Kilimanjaro routes are equal, and picking the wrong one can definitely ruin your chances of making the summit. I've hiked it myself, and hopefully in this video you can figure out which route is the best for you. So we are going to start off with the marangu route. This is known also as the Coca-Cola route. The marangu route is only done in 5 days, so it is a very quick sprint up the mountain and back down. Because of this, it is definitely not the best option for most people. This amount of time is definitely doable, but it will be a challenge. So the biggest thing to know about this route is that there are huts on the mountain, making it a huge draw to hikers, meaning that they don't have to sleep in tents on the mountain and can have huts, which definitely makes a huge difference when it is windy, because let me tell you, those tents are shaking in the night while your hut will pretty much keep most of the wind out. This is also the shortest and easiest route on the mountain. I wouldn't say it's the easiest. People think that it is just because of the hut accommodation. This route is only 5 days, and I think anything less than 6 days is going to be pretty tough. So the pros of the marangu route are obviously that there are huts with beds and dining huts, so it's going to be much more comfortable than any other route where you have to do a tent and you're sleeping on the ground. Can't say how comfortable those beds are though, because honestly my sleeping pad could have very well been more comfortable than a really crappy bed in the huts on this route. Haven't slept there firsthand, so I have no idea how to compare, but I know that my sleeping pad was surprisingly comfortable, and you're so exhausted that you will sleep anywhere. Another pro is that this route is very good for people who are nervous about camping. It definitely is a more traditional and comfortable way to go up the mountain. The biggest con of this route is that it is very short. It's only a 5-day route, meaning that there's poor acclimatization and low summit success. Another con of this route is that it can feel crowded. Lots of people are drawn to the route with the huts, and there might just be a lot of traffic of people passing each other on this route because there are so many people doing it at the same time. So for the marangu route, this is definitely best for people who are nervous about camping or want more comfort, but also for people not as concerned about the altitude aspect. If you know that you perform well in altitude, then this could be a good route for you if you really don't want to camp, but there's definitely poor acclimatization that comes with this route, so it will be more challenging on your body. So now we are moving on to the machame route. This is the route that I took up the mountain, and it was definitely challenging, but overall absolutely the best route for me. The machame route can take 6 to 7 days. This is the most popular route on the mountain. It's also called the whiskey route. I went in August and it was high season, but there were lots and lots of people. We were passing people were passing us constantly. I will say it kind of helped me in a way because it was kind of like morale, and it felt like everyone was kind of doing this climb together. So I kind of enjoyed like seeing a bunch of groups, seeing a bunch of people, but it definitely affects your pace. If you're a faster hiker and don't want to be held up by groups, this can definitely be a con for you. But let me talk about pros first. So a big pro of this route and a factor of why I chose it is that it has stunning scenery and has a great scenery variety. And that is because you're constantly going into different regions of the mountain and almost different ecosystems, definitely different environments. So you start in the rainforest and then you go up to the moorlands. From there, you go to the alpine desert before you get to the Arctic ice. I will say getting to experience every single level of the mountain and every environment was very, very interesting. The alpine desert being my favorite because it was like nowhere I've ever experienced before. before. So it was very, very cool getting to see all of the different environments. Another pro of this route is that it has pretty good acclimatization, definitely better than marangu, leading it to have a very high success rate. And that was one of the leading reasons that I chose this route. Obviously, you want to set yourself up for success and not failure. And I'll talk about my journey and all the reasons I chose this route at the end of the video. But now we're going to move into cons. A big con is that this route is very physically demanding, and more physically demanding than almost every route that I'm going to talk about. Another con is what I already kind of touched on, and that this route is busy. You will be surrounded by people pretty much the entire time. I can only remember maybe day 4 or day 5 where we were hiking on our own and we weren't like flooded with groups, but this route definitely bottlenecks a lot, especially on the Barranco Wall. Luckily, our guide was prepared for that and he scheduled us so we wouldn't have to deal with a ton of foot traffic. So that was really great on him. But there were definitely times where I kind of felt like I was in a line for Disney World rather than hiking a remote mountain in Africa. So it is one of the most popular routes for a reason. This route is best for hikers who want a balance of challenge, but also there's a decent chance of success. This is definitely not going to be one of the toughest paths up the mountain, but it's definitely going to feel like a challenge. But once you get to the end, it's going to really feel like a win. So next, I'm going to talk about the lemosho route. The lemosho route is 7 to 8 days. That's definitely a good amount of time. 7 days might feel a little bit more challenging, but 8 days is definitely a lot of time on the mountain. This route starts out pretty remote. You will feel almost like you're hiking on your own. It's not going to be busy like the machame route. Eventually, this route does meet up with the machame route after I think the first 2-3 days, but in the beginning, it will feel like a remote hike. So the pros of this hike, there are so many. The biggest being that it has a very, very high success rate due to its amazing acclimatization. So if you are altitude sensitive and are worried about acclimatizing, this is the best route for you, hands down. The next pro is that there is gorgeous, stunning scenery during this route. This route even beats machame in that sense because lemosho is known as the most scenic route on the mountain. So you get to go through all 4 levels of the environments on Kilimanjaro, and you also get more time in those environments because this is one of the longer routes on the mountain. Another pro is that since this route starts so remote, you get to set your pace in the beginning and it will feel more personalized because of that. Granted, if you're doing a group hike instead of a private hike, you won't have complete control of your pace, but it's starting remote and there not being any bottlenecks or tons of foot traffic will definitely help you in the beginning and just give you a more authentic experience than being shuffled around and herded with a bunch of people. So I'm going to talk about 2 cons in this route. The first one being that this is a longer route, meaning you will have to dedicate more time to it. This could also be seen as a pro for certain people, but this really depends on what you're looking for in your hike and how much time and money you can dedicate to it. Leading me to the second con, it is more expensive than majority of the routes I'm going to be talking about. The more time on the mountain, the more money it's going to cost. That's just the basic math of it. So with all the good things about lemosho, the cost is pretty much one of the only cons, or this would be a no-brainer, right? So this route is the best for people who are worried about acclimatizing and want the best chance at success. This also has an incredibly high summit success rate. So anyone who is a first timer who's nervous about a big mountain summit or multi-day hike and you have the funds to dedicate to it, this is definitely the best route for you. If you're a first timer who wants the highest chance at success, definitely go lemosho. So now we are moving on to the rongai route. This route is unique in that it approaches from the northern side. So only 2 routes on the mountain do that. The rongai route is usually done in 6 days. It's doable, but definitely fast. So this is not for a beginner. For this route, you definitely need to have hiking and mountaineering experience because although it's not a technical climb, it will be very challenging. The pros of the rongai route are that it is drier. So if you have time restraints on your schedule and you need to go during an off-peak season time, during rainy season, this would be a good route for you because the climate for this route is drier. So it is much better for rainy season. Because this is a shorter route and it comes from the north side, this route is definitely quieter people-wise than all the other routes that I just talked about. On this route, you will find your group hiking completely alone without any other groups in sight. So if that's the kind of trek you're looking for, this is a great option. You will not have to deal with a ton of people coming your way, having to get over for porters every 2 seconds. That is not what this route offers. So if you want the least interruption, this is a good route for you. That said, there's definitely some big cons that come to this route. This route is known for being less scenic, so there's not as much variety. You're not going to be going through all 4 environment zones of the mountain, so it's definitely not as pretty to look look at or interesting as you're hiking, this route also has a very tough acclimatization. This is not a route that I would suggest for a first-time hiker or someone who has never experienced high altitude, because this acclimatization will definitely be very hard on your body. And if you've never experienced that before, you have no idea how you're going to react. But if you are experienced, if you've done other challenging hikes before and know that your body reacts well and you can handle it, and you're looking for a challenge, this is a good route for you. This route is best for people who are looking to avoid the crowds, or if you have to go in rainy season, and if you're an experienced hiker. So the next route I'm going to talk about is the Northern Circuit. This is a lesser known route when it comes to the big three, the marangu, machame, and lemosho. Those are definitely the most well-known routes. This second group of 3 routes are definitely less well-known. 2 out of 3 of these routes are definitely more challenging and not as beginner friendly. That being said, the Northern Circuit is definitely not one of them. The Northern Circuit is the longest route on the mountain, and it can take 8 to 9 days on mountain. So the biggest pro of this route is that it has the highest success rate. Because this route is so long, it definitely gives you time to acclimate to the altitude and sets you up for success in getting to the summit. This route has the best overall acclimatization across every route up the mountain. The second pro is that since this is a lesser known route on the mountain, it's definitely way less crowded. So if you are looking to get away from the crowds but still want the high success rate of lemosho, this could be a really good option for you. Another pro of this route is that it gives you 360-degree views around the mountain. So that is a huge pro if you're looking for it to be a scenic hike. The Northern Circuit is very similar to lemosho, but definitely more expensive because it has more time on the mountain. The only con is that it is a time and cost commitment, just like lemosho, but even more so. If you are nervous about making the summit and want the absolute best chance, then Northern Circuit is the route for you, no doubt about it. This gives you the most time on the mountain, the best acclimatization, and if you can't summit on Northern Circuit, I'm afraid you won't be able to summit at all. Of course, no route gives you a guarantee. You can never predict how your kili climb is going to go, but the Northern Circuit will definitely give you the best chance at success, while also giving you the opportunity to get away from all of those busy crowds. So the last route that I'm going to talk about is the umbwe route. I want to make it very clear that this is not for beginners. This is for people who have lots of mountaineering experience. This route is short, steep, and the most direct path from the base up to the summit. The umbwe route is done in 5 days. That is very, very fast up the mountain. The one and only pro of this route is that it is fast and it is quiet. Because this is so challenging, you will not be running into anyone else. If you're trying to beat a record or just like test yourself, see how fast you can do it, this is the route that you would do that on. People on this route almost climb kili as a sprint instead of a marathon. If hiking a mountain is just another day to you and you almost feel like this is going to be easy breezy, then this would be the route that you would want to challenge yourself on. The biggest con being that there is very poor acclimatization. It is very steep and almost gives you no time to acclimate to the altitude. I've already said many times, this is a very, very challenging route, and because of that, there is a very low success rate. Absolutely not for a beginner. Do not recommend. Only if you have tons and tons of experience and are very confident on a mountain, you can try this one out and see if you make it. So now that I've talked about all 6 routes, how do you choose? I'm going to break it down for you. If your one and only goal is summit success and you have all the resources to make sure that happens, lemosho or Northern Circuit are the best routes for you. If you want a balance of comfort, affordability, and summit success, this is a very popular route for a reason. The machame route is for you. If you want comfort over everything, don't want to have to deal with any aspect of camping, the marangu route is for you. If you have mountaineering experience and want to get away from the crowds and all of the beginners, the rongai and umbwe routes are for you. If you're looking for the most scenic paths up the mountain and pass through all 4 of the environment levels, machame, lemosho, and Northern Circuit are the best for you. And if you're a beginner hiker and you want affordability above all else, marangu and machame are the best routes for you. So that was a super brief bottom line explanation on which route could be best for you, depending on what you want to prioritize. But obviously so many factors go into choosing which route is best for you. And because there's so many factors, definitely reach out to me, Anna Richter at 4 Travel, if you want to chat about your circumstances and kind of what you want to prioritize. If you're not sure which route you should choose by the end of this video, because obviously there are so many more considerations than the ones I just listed. So now we are at the very important part of this video, and that is all the mistakes that first timers make when choosing their Mount Kilimanjaro route. The biggest mistake that first timers make is choosing a shorter route just to save time and money, when this can greatly affect your summit success. I think when a lot of people book, they just see a price tag and that other people have successfully summited and they're like, that's good enough for me, let's book it. But in reality, just because some other person summited does not guarantee that you will summit whatsoever. Predicting summit success in general is pretty tricky because because obviously everyone's body is very different and altitude affects everyone completely differently. You can't base your probable success off of somebody else's. Just because they could complete it on that route does not mean you will be able to. And even if it's not altitude based, anything can happen on the mountain. Obviously, based on conditions, you might injure yourself if it's raining. There are just so many factors to think about, but that's a really big one in that people let the price of the hike drive their route choice. And yes, it's definitely a huge consideration. I greatly considered it when choosing my own route, but don't let that be the one driving factor in your route choice. So that leads me to the second mistake that first timers make, in that they greatly underestimate altitude. Acclimatization, I've said it enough times in this video, I know, but it is so important when it comes to this hike. And if you don't have hiking experience, that's probably not even close to the top thing on your mind. I know I didn't have a ton of hiking experience, definitely not at altitude before this, so it wasn't on my mind at all, I'm gonna be honest. But after doing lots and lots of research that I'm saving you from doing, you're welcome, it is a massive consideration when it comes to this hike. So do not underestimate the altitude. It can take the strongest and fittest people out. Being able to summit is not based on physical ability whatsoever. It is greatly on how your body adjusts to the altitude. Another really big mistake that first timers make is thinking that because this isn't a technical hike that it will be easy. I was definitely a victim of this. Absolutely made this mistake. Just because there's no gear involved, that means it's not technical. It's a pretty straightforward hike. All you need is hiking poles if you want to, but other than that, there's no rappelling, there's no ice climbing or anything like that that requires a harness or gear. And because of this, I definitely made the assumption that, oh, it's not technical, meaning that it's easy, when that is absolutely not the case. So don't do what I did. Summit night is definitely hard. Do not be fooled. You do need to train for this. It's one of the 7 summits for a reason. If you are wanting to hike Kilimanjaro, which is probably why you're here, and if you want free help planning your Mount Kilimanjaro hike, I have a Kilimanjaro planning form linked in the description that just has a few quick questions about your preferences, and those will just help me find the best route and company for you. So definitely fill that out if you're ready to make this dream a reality and get to the summit. So my last biggest mistake that first timers make is assuming all routes look the same. That is definitely a huge misconception. They think, oh, it's the same mountain, so all the routes probably will look very similar. It's not true, surprisingly. Like, it is a very, very big mountain. The faster routes tend to look pretty bland compared to the longer routes, but it definitely depends on which side of the mountain you're coming from. But the routes definitely can vary greatly in scenery. And I know if I had the views of the last 2 days the entire time, I would have been so bored, because obviously while you're hiking, what are you doing? You're talking and you're looking around. So if there's nothing in the environment that's kind of feeding that sense, I'm gonna be so bored and kind of just waiting for it to be over. That's how I'd be personally. I don't know if other people kind of just put their head down and want to get through the hike, but I gotta have something to look at personally. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal journey and what I factored in to picking my route. I knew that I wanted something affordable because I didn't want to spend $1 million on this hike. I knew I was prioritizing scenery, so that definitely limited my options down, but I was okay with that. And then third, I definitely wanted a route with a high summit success rate and good acclimatization, because before this, I didn't have any high altitude hiking experience. I had only been at a high altitude one time in Quito, Ecuador, and I knew that I acclimatized well and I didn't feel any symptoms of altitude sickness, but I had never been on a multi-day hike before. There were definitely a lot of unknowns for me, so I knew that I wanted a route that would give me a good chance at summiting, and this led me to the Machame route. This was definitely a winner for me. I did successfully summit, so obviously I picked the right route for myself. My brother also came on this hike with me and he summited as well. My entire group summited, actually. There were 12 of us and we all successfully summited. Our CEO did say that that was rare. I guess he doesn't see that happen often. Usually there's at least one person who doesn't make it, so he was very proud of us. But my CEO has done this a countless amount of times, and with all of his experience, him saying that this was rare means there is always a small percentage of something messing up your summit, no matter which route you choose, unfortunately. But I greatly enjoyed my route. I love seeing all the different environments. That was a huge pick-me-up during the hike for me, because it definitely kept me motivated to see what was going to come next, and having the environment change from day to day was super, super cool. It also gave me enough variety in the hike that it kept me motivated to keep going. That definitely pushed me through the hike. My hike was definitely affordable. It was around $3,000, while it can go from $2,000 to $10,000 depending on which route and which company you go with. The price can definitely vary, and I already talked about how this route has a high summit success rate, and on summit night, seeing everyone, all of the groups going up to the summit from the camp we were at was a surreal experience. I couldn't believe how many people were doing this the exact same night as me. We're all in it together, and it was just crazy that all of us just happened to be summiting together that night, and that there were not only this many people climbing the mountain, but that many people just in my camp alone that were trying to summit that night. It was just kind of a mind-blowing experience, because you hear people climbing Mount Kilimanjaro and you think it's so rare, but when you get there and you see how many people are doing this as well, it's very surprising to see like 1,000 people on the mountain with you, and that we all made the choice to come at the same time. I don't know. That was just kind of what shocked me. If there was anything I would do differently, is that I would have booked the machame 7-day instead of the machame 6-day, because 6 days was definitely a huge challenge. I did not get sleep before summit night. The rest of the hike was definitely doable, but summit night was very, very, very hard and much more challenging than I was expecting, to be quite honest, on the lack of sleep. So if I had an extra day, I think summit would have been much more enjoyable, because honestly, it was like plain torture. That's the only thing that I would do differently. Definitely add those acclimatization days in. I didn't necessarily need more time to acclimatize, but if I had another day to rest, or like 2 shorter hiking days instead of the 1 long one that I did, I think it would have made a big difference in my summit, and I would have had more fun during it instead of crying inside. So now I'm going to rank all of the routes. This is obviously completely biased. This is my personal ranking based off of my opinions and what I think the route has to offer. This is based on beginners, so the harder routes will be toward the bottom, but this is my official Mount Kilimanjaro route ranking. So I'm going to do this ranking in Dance Moms fashion. On the top of the pyramid, we have Lemosho with the top spot. I gave the top spot to Lemosho because it has unbeatable scenery, the best amount of time on the mountain in my opinion, because I think over 8 days is probably too long. 7 I think is the sweet spot. Lemosho is definitely a little more pricey, but if you do have the money for it, it will deliver. For the second spot on the pyramid, I have Machame. This is obviously the route that I took, so of course it has to be high ranking on my pyramid. Machame did no wrong. She was a challenge. She was very entertaining with all of the scenery. I personally liked that there were more people around me, and I know that crowds can definitely be aversive for some people, so if you don't want it to be crowded, this is not the route for you. But I enjoyed my time on Machame immensely and would definitely pick it again. For the third spot on the pyramid, we have the northern route. The northern circuit is definitely more time and more money, but it will give you the best chance at summiting. It has unbeatable scenery, 0 crowds. All of that definitely comes at a pretty big cost, which is why I put it third on the pyramid. The fourth spot on the pyramid will go to Marangu route. I chose to put Marangu here because even though it gives you all of the comfort with the huts, and I think it also has those long drop bathroom situations, which is basically a porta potty but a hole in the ground, which I definitely used in the very beginning of Machame. They had them and they were so vile. I liked my portable toilet way more. Even though this route gives you a bed, it is so quick. It has very bad acclimatization, a lower success rate than other routes, so that's why she is at the bottom of the pyramid. For the fifth spot in the pyramid, the rongai route. While this can definitely come in clutch if you have to go in the rainy season, it is not a good route for beginners. If you have mountaineering experience and need to go in the rainy season, want to get away from the crowds, this could be a good option for you. I don't think it's a good option for majority of the people who are going to be hiking Mount Kilimanjaro. And sixth on the pyramid, we have umbwe. This is 6 for, I think, pretty obvious reasons. If you listen to my explanation before, it is the most challenging route on the mountain. Unless you're one of those people who enjoy running marathons or something like that, this is for you. No marathon shame, because I could literally never do that. I don't know how that's humanly possible. But if you enjoy torturous things like that, this could be for you. But yeah, bottom line, I do not recommend this for any beginners, but I respect all the people that attempt this route. Okay guys, we have made it to the end of the video. I hope that this gave you some clarity on which route is best for you, and if you're considering this hike, I have tons of other Kilimanjaro content up, so definitely subscribe for more Kilimanjaro content, and I have a link in the description for my Kilimanjaro playlist with all of the videos that I've made. The biggest videos being a vlog of my entire journey on the Machame route from base to summit, and a packing video with all the things you need to know about packing and everything you need to bring with you on the mountain, and tons of other videos to make sure that you have all of the information you need before doing this huge bucket list climb. But as always, if you have any questions or you want to chat more, feel free to message me on my Instagram at Blueprint Travel, and I would be happy to chat more and help you figure out which route is best for you. And if you have any other video suggestions that you want me to make, definitely put those in the comments, because I'm always looking for more ideas and just want to make content that will be the most helpful for you guys. But I think that is all for this video, and I will see you in the next one.